Well, hello and welcome to the Sports Bar Show, chewing the fat and talking balls, as we always do from here at Bacup Borough Football Club. I'm Steve Brown. Alongside me is the manager at Bacup Borough, Brent Peters.
How are we doing?
How are you doing? Have you missed me?
Of course I have. Yeah, it seems like a duration since we were last on here. I can't. And then we're on. And then when we do come back on, we're on a Saturday morning. I'm still half asleep.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing this because I've had a dodgy neck. I've been like Ermin Munster or Frankenstein. You know, I've been like stiff as a board.
I start calling you bent neck. I've got a bent neck on the street here. That lives on here. He walks up the street like that.
Does he?
Yeah.
Look like he's watching satellite dishes.
Yeah. I nicknamed him years ago, bent neck.
Satellite TV.
I shouldn't do
syndrome.
Really. It's a bit naughty, but anyway, that's just.
Yeah.
Right is the spice of life. We can't be serious all the time, can we?
We needed a week off anyway, because sometimes you just need a bit of a break, don't you?
Do you?
Well, yeah. Well, you don't know what a break is because you're here 7 days a week.
Exactly.
So, but what have you been getting up to? What have you been doing?
Well, it's been busy, isn't it? And on all fronts with everything. There's been a lot of things happening, like away from Bacup as well, haven't there? I mean, the news broke last week, which was really sad, about Avro and the fire. You know, that's. Yeah. I mean, I had the pleasure of being shown around. That was
about 12 months ago. Yeah.
Well, it was Christmas, weren't it? It weren't 12 months ago.
Yeah.
No, it was
no,
Christmas.
Christmas
it was
just got
because I had a present.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah. Paul Armstrong.
Yeah. So I had a present. So it was Christmas, and I had the pleasure of being shown by Paul and the chairman around, and they were, you know, and rightly so. They were well in, you know, they were really chuffed with the facilities and the way they were going and the plans, and you know, and if ever a club's worked really tirelessly, you know, in this recess, in this break, it's been Avro. You know, they've been developing the facilities, and it's been fantastic. And then to see the news break that they've had, you know, a fire in part of the facility, mainly Ant Crawler's gym has gone. It's soul destroying, and like a few other people have done, I've offered, you know, I mean, we're all busy and we've all got our jobs, but if we can, as a football club, we can help them in any which way, shape or form. You know, I've got vehicles on my distribution business if they need anything picking up, or any rubble taken away or anything like that. We can be of any help. We're a phone call away, and I've made that point clear. You know, we're all in this together, and we've got to stick. I mean, I know what it's been like here at Bacup when I turned up one Saturday, and the stand, the changing room roof was in the middle of the pitch.
You can laugh about it now, but I suppose at the time, I know you've told me the story that you and one of our supporters, Meatball, as we call him, you were penning it down, weren't you, while they were Force 9 gale?
That was the stand when one of the storms, I don't know if it was Storm Gareth or not, I can't remember, there's all that many different things. But it were, you know, it were doing a Mexican wave towards the estate behind, and the families and the houses, and
they were getting worried.
They were getting worried because obviously it were coming up that way. So they located myself, and then I got hold of Meatball, and we were there with ropes, swinging out ropes, trying to hold it down, and it was, you know, it were a bit scary really, but going back to Avro, it's you know, they've worked tirelessly and spent a lot of money, and you know, to have this happen to them, it's a setback. But you know, the fighters, they're not quitters, and I'm sure they'll
bounce back with a vengeance.
They'll bounce back.
Well, I did see another story, and we were going to pick up on it now. Isle of Man, we were all happy, aren't we? We're all happy that they're coming into the northern section. Well, we thought they were coming in the northern section, but a request has been put forward, I believe.
Well, as you know, it's the AGM of the North West Counties League today.
Yeah, you're making me do that.
Well, I'm not making you. I asked you. Nicely.
You asked me nicely. You're busy, occupied with another meeting.
And I noticed that was on the agenda that they'd made a request Isle of Man, they've been put in last year. When they came in originally, they were allocated. They went into the southern section of the League One.
Yeah.
Now there's been a reorganisation with the FA. They've been put in the northern section. Now, in my opinion, for what it's worth, they're the most northern club you've ever seen.
Yeah.
If you look where the Isle of Man is on a map,
Yeah.
and you draw a line across, they're virtually between, probably on a par with Carlisle.
Yeah, or Morecambe. Right across from Morecambe Bay.
Seriously,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And they've made a request to go into the South Division. Well, I just don't see where that fits in.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's all subject to the North West Counties League have basically agreed that they can do.
I'm a bit cynical though, Brent.
Well, the North West Counties League have agreed that they can do, but it's all subject to clarity from the FA. But I can't understand, unless they know something that we don't know, why they've allowed it, North West Counties League, because you're talking north. If it's a north and a south region.
Otherwise, you'll be putting a request in for Southern League next season.
Well, it's like Bacup asking to go into Southern League. Well, we're quite well north, so why would we want to go into Southern League? I don't get it. Yeah. But there's a lot of
unless you want an easy ride.
But there's a lot of things I don't get in football and what goes on. But yeah, you're cynical like me. Probably they've looked at that.
Looked at the teams in the north and looked at the teams in the south. Thought, hold on.
Hang on, this is going to be a stronger competition.
The likes of playing against teams like Boro, who are going to be strong next season.
Well,
it could be hard work.
In my opinion, unless they've moved the Isle of Man is definitely north. So unless they've moved it, why are they going in the south? I rest my case. I don't know.
Well,
and why have the North West Counties League kind of sanctioned that they can do? So is that not bonkers?
Yeah,
I think.
Watch this space. Few talking points. You got your piece of paper, your magic piece of paper. First of all, congratulations to a Bacup son, which is Reece James and his lovely wife now, tying the knot a few days ago.
Yeah, it's been a big week for Reece, hasn't it?
You were a bit upset that you weren't there, weren't you, really?
Well, I was invited originally. I mean, his wedding should have been over 12 months ago, and it were due to be in Portugal.
Yeah, it would have been a big do, wouldn't it?
And unfortunately, COVID kicked in, and they had to put it on hold, and eventually it got cancelled. So they were determined that this year
it would happen.
It would happen. But it's happened on restrictions. So only 30 people were allowed, and obviously 30 people, you've got to split it between the two.
Yeah.
Between the two, so that's only, when you think about it, it's 15 each.
Exactly.
So when you've got, like, my grandson Tommy as classed as one, and then you've got
your son-in-law and your daughter.
Your son-in-law and daughter. That's 3, and then you've got kind of his best man, which is his brother, which is Matt James.
Yeah.
Is 4, and then they've got 2 sons and Leah, his wife.
Your throat is swallowed up.
Before you know where you are, it's we're not even.
You've got no chance.
I've got no chance. I'm well down. So but it was great. There's such a great couple. Rachel, she's a lovely girl, and it's a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah, and as you were saying, a double good news this week for Reece, because we heard the news earlier on in the week that he's signed with the Seasider. He's going to Blackpool.
Yeah, it's a fantastic move.
Good move.
It's a fantastic move for Reece, but it's also Blackpool have got to sell it. I've said it all along. I mean, I'm not biased. I'll tell it as it is.
It's a fact.
Reece is a talented footballer.
If you were biased, I'd tell you, Brent.
He's a really, really good. When I can, I go and watch, and his dad likes me there for my opinion, and straight. And I'll be honest, and he's done really well. But how things could have been so different, and this happens for a lot of players. I mean, this is a kind of a time of a season when lots and lots of players get released.
Yeah.
And the careers don't get off the ground before they start, really. And the disappointment is that unfortunately it's all about opinions, isn't it? I mean, this is why I'm saying it could have been so different from Reece, because you had a situation where he was working under Jamie Ireland at Preston North End. Jamie was a youth coach, as we've had on this show, and he was working under Jamie and developing really, really well, doing well. You know, I think I'm right in saying that I'm sure that at one point Jamie had him as his captain in the youth setup. But when it comes to he was doing really, really well. And then when it comes to decision making of whether he should get a contract or he shouldn't get a contract, and Reece wasn't on his own. I think there was quite a few of the successful youth team of the time when Jamie were there
that had been put forward
by Jamie and I can't remember now the name of the other coach who we were working with, but they put forward Graham Wesley was the manager. And as you know, Graham Wesley he's come from a non-league background and probably doing non-league a lot of injustice in a lot of where they play, because not everybody plays the way that Graham Wesley tries to get his teams to play. But Graham Wesley were at Preston and he didn't recognise the fact of these talented footballers. He didn't, these are
technical ability,
and Reece was one of a few players that basically got released, so there was nothing on the table. But luckily, and I kind of knew this was going to happen. Luckily, that Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in, straight away recognise it.
Wesley, you dropped a bollock.
Complete bollock. 3 days later, he signs for Manchester United.
Released by Preston. And on way home gets a phone call. We're coming to United, will you?
Well, it's funny because I'd conversations with Warren, and Warren had been watching him, and Warren
talk about a blessing in disguise.
Well, Warren said to me, he said, at his age, he was better than anybody they had in at Manchester United at that time.
Yeah.
So the fact is the matter, isn't it? 3 days later, so Wesley fires him off from Preston, and he gets in. And then he gets taken on at Manchester United to continue.
But then Wesley gets fired off as well.
Well, we'll not say
such is football.
Such is football, isn't it? But when you make decisions like that, it
comes into question.
It's not just about. I mean, Reece is one of the fortunate ones.
Yeah.
But how many are not fortunate that have that really
fallen by the wayside
and fallen by the wayside because of a decision of a manager?
We see him out here on a Saturday afternoon in North West Counties football.
Exactly.
They've played through academies, they've been offered contracts, and all of a sudden they're out of favour, or like you say, it's a game of opinions, and they don't make the comeback. They end up playing semi-pro football, don't they?
Yeah, that's right.
But
so it's it left a bit. I feel as well. When decisions like that are made, I feel for the likes of Jamie Ireland, who's put a lot of time and effort into these players,
nurtured them.
and nurtured them and brought them on, and then for a manager at the end of it to turn around and and say, no, there's no contract, we're releasing them.
It's there is an undervaluing of their position, isn't there, in doing that?
Well,
you're kind of saying, well, you don't really know what you're talking about.
Well, there is an undervaluing, because like if I can only speak from me, I'd be even though I'm the manager of the club, I've got to be, and even though I've watched them play and taken an interest, I've got to be guided by the coaches that have worked with them all the time, because it's not just about your technical ability. It's all about your mental attitude and everything else that goes with it. As we know, lots of managers now at top level of football do the due diligence, because if you're a bad character, you're not that kind. You've got a bit of a flaw in you where you might unsettle the changing room or anything like that. They won't touch you with a barge pole.
Yeah.
But
So it's kind of a 50-50. It becomes a fact of, yes, he's got the ability, which is fantastic to have, but without the right characteristics, it's not a match made in heaven.
No, exactly. You've got to have
The
both.
full package.
The full package. And I'm saying this about Reece. He is the full package. I mean, his
attitude,
his upbringing. From being a young boy.
Well, he told us the story. I'm laughing because he told us the story when we had him on the show. How his dad, Linton, would have him and his brother Matty with a bag of balls on a Sunday morning, walking. Where did they go? There was some
up on Bacup Borough.
He said they used to turn around to each other. Him and Matty saying, "What the bloody hell are we doing here? We should be at park or something."
Yeah.
But the proof's in the pudding.
Well, they both.
What happened?
They both had good careers.
And good upbringing.
And a good upbringing, and that's what it's all about. It's all about the upbringing initially. You've got to sacrifice a lot to be a footballer.
And instilling that character.
I tell the tale regularly about our Martin.
Yeah.
When I were down at Bury Football Club, Martin were down scoring goals. He were playing for the Bury Centre of Excellence, and the group that the Bury Centre of Excellence were in at the time, he was in the same. With Everton were in the same group, and there was one player, little Podge coming on playing for Everton at the time, who's turned out to be a superstar in Wayne Rooney.
Right.
So Wayne Rooney were playing, and because they played, like a round robin, so you played Everton quite a few times in a season. So Martin would be playing on the Bury team, and Wayne Rooney would be playing in the Everton team, right? And just see where their paths have gone. Martin's white van man.
Yeah, working for yourself. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, seriously. And obviously Wayne Rooney's career just took off and went the other way.
Yeah.
But that is...
Mind, attitude.
But again, I come down, and I'm not just saying this, Martin didn't have the... He had the ability. I mean, talking about Jamie as well, I remember at the time when he left school, Jamie said to me, Jamie were at Rochdale, and Jamie said, "I'm going to take him in. He can come in with me and he can do pre-season. I'm not going to promise anything at this stage.
Yeah. But it's a start.
But it's a start. He can do pre-season. He can come in with me, and we'll see where that takes us." And I were over the moon because I thought, this is brilliant, and so you can imagine being a football person, how I felt the morning when he come and he walked into my bedroom, and he says to me, "Dad, I don't really want to go into Rochdale." I went, "You what?"
I mean, he jumped out of bed.
He said, "I want to be a joiner." I said, "You what?" He said, "I want to be a joiner."
So come here somewhere and nail it.
Honestly, I could not believe what I was hearing. He wanted to be a joiner. So you've got plenty of time to be a bleeding joiner. You'd be a joiner when you can't make it at football. You've got to go in, you've got an opportunity.
Yeah.
But this is my point.
He had the ability.
He had the ability, but he had the opportunity. And Jamie, was willing to take him into Rochdale, and he's blown the chance because he wouldn't put up with the sacrifices that you have to do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, and that's what I mean. Whereas if you look at goal like to Matty and Reece James, or everybody else, all the other footballers that have made it, they've had to give a lot of things up. They've made sacrifices to get where they've
There's
got.
a lot comes before 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon.
Correct, exactly. And that's a disappointing one for me. If only, and I tell that to regular, because he was playing against Wayne Rooney, same age, everything, but the paths have just totally.
Yeah. What I did like, what you've said about Reece is all true, but even the Doncaster supporters have been on social media over the last 4 or 5 days giving him fantastic words of support and telling Blackpool that they've got themselves one hell of a player.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's good. I mean, I went down to this...
There hasn't been one bad word said about him.
There weren't a bad word, I mean, they recognise the fact, and they recognise that, they'd like to have kept him. And they were congratulating Blackpool and on getting such a good top player. But let me tell you, I'm convinced that had everything been as it should have been at Doncaster, and when I say as it should have been, had Darren Moore not have made the decision that he made at the time when he made the decision, there's all this talk in the past about, there's always been all this talk, about managers getting the sack and it's not right and they should see the season out. And I believe that. I believe that you should see the season out, because football, you could have the first 2-3 months having a bad start to a season, but you can ride that and you could come out at the other end and be finishing on a high and doing really, really well, because you're working at it. A season is 9 months, so it doesn't mean to say you're going to start and start well, in the middle you're doing well, and at the end you're still doing well and purring along all the time. You can have ups and downs, your peaks and troughs. Now, I disagree that managers get sacked midstream, but this is a case with a Darren Moore that it were in reverse. They were flying with Doncaster. They were in there. They were so well in front, and they got so many points on the board, and they looked certain.
Oh, the momentum was certainly there.
Not only did they look certain for the playoffs, but they'd still a chance to probably win it. They could have still won it. Yeah. And it was unbelievable. And then Darren Moore, just come out of the blue, because Sheffield Wednesday had shown an interest, and he decided I think they'd played a game on the Saturday. He spoke to Sheffield on the Sunday, and spoke to Doncaster Sunday night, and made a decision that he was going to Sheffield, and that was it. And on the Monday, and it was just like that.
Announced.
It was announced, and it was a bombshell, and it was a bombshell to everybody. I mean, I'm an outsider. I took an interest in Doncaster, and I still take an interest because it's one of my former clubs. Yeah. And equally, I took an interest and take an interest in Doncaster because Reece were there. But I'm thinking, that's a bombshell. What's happening here? And it was a bombshell, and it was from that situation.
But he's going to a club that is on the verge of being relegated anyway.
That's what I couldn't understand. Look, we all know that Sheffield Wednesday are potentially a big club. Potentially are a big club. But that potentially,
the league doesn't tell me that.
Exactly. They were the bottom of the league. They were certain. They had 1 foot in Division 1. So to give up what you had at Doncaster to fight a relegation was just a no-brainer for me. It was stupid. It was a ridiculous decision.
But that is when the wheels came off for Doncaster.
Correct. That's when the wheels came off, and it was a complete shambolic.
The instability left behind.
And that's no disrespect to the standing manager that went in there. He was on an hiding. He was a player. Yeah. And he was on an hiding to nothing, because at that particular time as well, they were obviously all of a sudden overnight they become a club unstable in terms of football, from the football side of things.
Yeah. The leadership had gone.
The leadership. I keep saying it, I think I've said it on this show before. If you're the captain of a ship and the ship's just going through calm waters and sailing, purring on through calm waters, and then all of a sudden, the captain leaves the ship, the ship hits rocky ground, doesn't it?
That's it.
And that's exactly what happened at Doncaster. But this had a detrimental effect, because straight away the wheels come off at Doncaster. There'd no leadership. I felt sorry for the hierarchy, the general manager and the directors of the club, because they're trying to nail people down like Reece, because he was coming to the end of his contract, and they were trying to nail him down. But I can understand it from Reece's point of view. Looking at it from Reece's point of view,
he's questioning his own future.
Well, it's not. It weren't about that. The club were uncertain at the time, so they've no manager. So, for instance, if he decides to kind of at that point sign his future for the next 3 years or 2 years at Doncaster, and a new manager comes in, that new manager comes in might kind of want to bring his own players in, which might push Reece out.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
So there's uncertainty because you're not the new manager. You don't know what the new manager's going to think or going to want. This is the board that's trying to sign you up. So I get it. So it was a difficult one for Reece. He was left in a difficult situation. He wanted to see it through. He wanted to stay. I know he were happy at Doncaster, and I'll tell you now that had it been a case of, and I knew he always, it's like any player, you're ambitious. He wanted to play. He's 27, and he wanted to have the chance to play in the Championship. So when a Championship club come calling, it was obviously
and it's a local club as well.
And it's a local club, and it's a club steeped in history, and it's I mean, Blackpool have had their bad times with all the
and a good manager at the helm now.
Owen Oyston era.
Yeah.
But they've got over that, and they've come out of it, and now and they've got an excellent coach in Neil Critchley. He's, from all intents and purposes, I spoke to Dave Felgate about him, who knows him, who Dave Felgate's, as you know, here at Bacup with me, and he knows Neil very, very well, and he said he'll do wonders for Reece. He said, he'll bring his game on leaps and bounds. Yeah. And one of the comments that's been passed is that he thinks there's still a lot in Reece. We haven't seen the best of Reece, even though we, so it's all good. It's all positive. But I feel for Doncaster because of the circumstances they've been left in, and I know for a fact that had it been another Division 1 club, no Championship clubs in it, with another Division 1 club coming in for him,
he wouldn't have had to make that move.
He wouldn't have made it. He would have stayed at Doncaster. I know that, but it was a no-brainer, when a Championship came in. But they weren't the only one. There were other clubs, which I'm not going to.
But a lot of other players have had this, same situation where, because of COVID, they've not had the pleasure of sitting down with the manager or with the directors to sign new contracts, and they become free agents or been left out to dry, haven't they? With no club.
Well, the COVID's left in some cases. Normally, what you try and do, you don't want to let a player's contract get to the final few months because it's problematic.
You're knackered then, aren't
you? The chances are they can go for nothing. So this is why you see clubs wherever possible they try and it's getting into they'll always keep them a year in, and keep it like that. But with the COVID situation, there's a lot of uncertainty, and we ain't out of the woods. I mean, this isn't talking about your top Premier League clubs that's got that are wealthy. We're talking like EFL clubs here. They've just had to ride a torrid. And
they've only just got their head above water.
Well, have they got their head above water? Some will have, but a lot won't have. There are still problems. We seem to forget that. These clubs they've had promises, about money filtering down and giving them the backing to see them through. But they haven't had it, or they haven't had the money that they thought they'd get. So they've been playing with no fans in the stadium. They still had to run their operation. You still got all your overheads and everything.
The wages are still being paid.
I worry for some clubs out there. I just think that there's.
We haven't seen it yet.
We haven't seen it yet, but I think something needs to be done dramatically, quickly, because we could lose. If one goes, I think a couple will go.
I think you're right. Lads in today for the first time.
Yeah, the coaches are in at 12:30. We've got a coaches meeting. You're on at 10:30. You've got it's 10:19 now.
Right. So I've got 11 minutes to press the button and get into the Zoom meeting.
Get into the good luck with that one.
I don't mean that, Paul.
I'd rather stay away from them.
Yeah, well,
I face them in disciplinary hearings.
I'll just sit there. But yeah, lads are in today, so that's good to have them back.
Coaches meeting 12:30. The lads are in at 1:30. It'd be good to have them back, and it's all.
Are you kind of at the?
And yesterday we had a welcome visitor. Didn't
you
we?
did. Yeah, the MP for Rosendale, Jake Berry.
Jake Berry were here yesterday, so it was good to have.
What were you talking about? Are you able to divulge?
All things football.
All things football.
All things football.
Yeah.
Everything connected.
Just a catch up, really. Eh?
Well, it wasn't a catch up. It all come from this. It basically come from, as you know, that Gary Neville and Rio Ferdinand, and I think they set this thing going, didn't they?
Like an initiative to get
a regulator, where people they wanted you to kind of bang the drum and get onto your vote.
And this all stems from what was going to happen with the European.
So Jake came to talk to me about all things football, and that was brought up, and he was just asking my opinion on certain things and getting, we're all relevant. I'll be honest. I turned around and said that. The North West Counties League is a shambles, but no, did I? I'm only joking.
You wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that. No, seriously, no. I told him the North West Counties League were,
we're leading the way.
Honestly, I did. I told him that, and without patronising. Doesn't matter who you vote for or what your politics are, because this is not anything to do with politics.
No.
I actually did say that without the support of the initiatives that the government implemented through COVID,
with the small business grants and things,
with these small business grants and the other initiatives that they put in, it's really helped clubs like Bacup Borough. Otherwise,
they probably want to survive.
You'd have been losing, clubs that steeped in. Been big parts of the community for several years, like 150 years of history. So that's not patronising. That's a fact. No matter who you vote for, you can pull them down, or you want to pull them down. But during this COVID, when that COVID kicked in and football was suspended and everything else, before the government initiatives came in, you're thinking, blimey, how are we going to survive?
Well, it was a curveball for everyone, wasn't it? Including the government.
Correct. So, we talked about that, but we talked about what did get brought up was, that the FA, in a lot of ways, aren't fit for purpose, especially when it comes down to where we are.
Yeah.
We talked about not being able to be in the FA Cup, and it's the People's Cup. I talked about that. He was
actually gobsmacked about that, weren't he?
Yeah, I talked about that, and he said, well, how's that happening? And when I explained to him, I said, because there are
2 or 3 clubs share the same ground.
They're oversubscribed. And I said, well, they will be oversubscribed when you've got, and don't take this the wrong way when I say it, you clubs, because there are good clubs out there, like our friends at AFC Liverpool. I love them to bits, but they always don't like me saying this. But unfortunately, clubs that don't have, for me, clubs that don't have their own facilities, don't have their own infrastructure, that's got haven't got the same commitments. Those clubs, for me, are not a football club. You can call them plastic, whatever. I mean, you don't like that word, so I won't use it, right? But that is why you're oversubscribed. That's why
it's not having the infrastructure.
Not having the infrastructure, and so basically we talked about that, and he was gobsmacked that clubs were. We talked about that clubs like at the level Bacup Borough playing in are limited to where they can get, earn money in terms of prize money, or we don't get television doesn't come down to our level, although with some of the dross that's been served at
we should start it.
With some of the dross that I've been watching at the top level, and when you watch the bottom level, you see better competitive matches.
Commitment and passion.
Exactly, so maybe they should do. So we don't get television money filtered down, we don't get that. So we're limited. Clubs like us are limited to where they can get the money from, because don't forget, your EFL clubs, they do get hand-downs, they do get television money, they've still got a chance if the cameras decide to go and film Accrington Stanley versus Doncaster Rovers, well, it's a payday.
There's a cheque coming. Yeah.
There's a cheque coming, that's happy days. But we know full well, if Steve Brown Media's coming here with his cameras, there's no payday for us, we're paying you.
Yeah. But that's the crux of it, though, isn't it?
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly. So that's the difference. But we can't. So if you go out the FA Vars early, that FA Vars you can get chance of prize money. So if you go out the FA Vars at the first round, zoop, that's it. And if you go out to we're not even in the FA Cup, but we pay our money, but we usually get it put back in bank. So
lots of things you were talking about.
We're talking about, and it's all relevant because he will go back and report to try and make the game from top to bottom better.
Yeah, he'll have the conversation with the sports ministers, the culture ministers.
Yeah, because it's important, because my point is, it's massively important is this, because my point is, clubs, where we have to start here, step 6, you've still got to tick a lot of boxes. There's still a lot of money to be spent on your ground gradings to put your ground in order to make sure, I'm not just talking plain surface, I'm talking surrounds, floodlights, hard standing, turnstiles, bringing everything up to modern day, everything that goes that. There's a lot of money involved, and once you start to play football, there's still a lot of money involved in the travelling and the cost of
catering and everything,
running a football club. So, because of all those costs, we should be treated in the same vein, and we're in the National League system
as an equal.
As an equal, and we don't do, and it gets chopped off. Gets chopped off after the National League. So basically, everybody under that, we're
But that comes down to representation, doesn't it? Or lack of.
Yeah, that's it, and that's why it's wrong. That's why the FA they need kicking in. They need putting in a bag and shaking up and sorting themselves out and making sure and that everything's got all the way down, so that we've got chances to be able to tap into revenue streams
in order to grow.
That's the one. That's fantastic. And that's it. And that's kind of really what we were talking about.
Well, good stuff.
And it was good to, it was
good to see him again.
Good to see him. Yeah. It doesn't matter what. Listen. It's not about Conservative, Labour, or anything like that. It's about
the good of the game.
You're on form. You're on form, aren't you?
I better get to that meeting.
All right, man.
I'm going. See you later.
See you, folks.